To Capitol View this Sunday morning, Senator Tom Cotton in the natural state. And you have been traveling quite a bit, so we want to thank you for joining us for this edition of Capitol View. A lot going on in foreign affairs, and we'll get to that in just a bit, but there are a lot of hot topics going on here domestically. You've never been shy about telling it like it is, as the way you see it. And so we're going to just dive right in, if that's okay. You support defunding Planned Parenthood. You're openly opposed to abortions. And in light of these undercover videos that have surfaced, you've been pretty hard-strung up about this is enough, is what you have said. But at this point, they haven't been found to have done anything illegal. Do you have any concerns about defunding an agency that hasn't actually been found to have done anything illegal as of yet?
Marcia, I think it's important that we do everything we can to protect innocent life in this country. That's what a civilized society should do. And these videos have revealed very disturbing activities that clearly does not protect innocent life. There may be legal proceedings, there's investigations that are ongoing, but I view this more as a moral question, not a legal question. I just don't think Arkansas taxpayer dollars should be going to an organization that, at least at its national level, has shown such a callous disregard for life. That's why I support legislation that would divert that money towards other, say, community health centers, that we have many more here in Arkansas than we have Planned Parenthood locations, to ensure that women and low-income Arkansans get the kind of health care they need, but also that our taxpayer dollars aren't going to fund an organization that, at least at its national level, has shown a very callous and almost gruesome disregard for innocent human life.
Okay, so it is about sort of that line of abortion and what comes along with it from a fetal tissue research?
I actually believe that whether you're pro-life, as am I, or pro-choice, as I know many Arkansans are, you should be able to agree that we shouldn't have such a cavalier attitude towards innocent human life. And for an organization to be casually discussing the dismemberment of, an unborn child so they can sell their organs over a salad at lunch, I don't think that Arkansans want their taxpayer dollars going to support that. When we can use it in other ways, like at community health centers, which many, many more communities in Arkansas have, and can help serve many more low-income Arkansans.
All right, fair enough. You've said you believe Governor Hutchinson's decision to terminate Medicaid provisions with Planned Parenthood here in the state is a states' rights issue. Some say, though, it violates federal law. Do you think there are times when states are justified in violating
Well,
it?
Medicaid is a joint state-federal program, so states have some latitude. I support Governor Hutchinson's decision, but also what I would do as a senator in Washington is try to make that flexibility a national policy. So Arkansas's taxpayer dollars are not going to support an organization that has shown such a cavalier disregard for human life, and to make sure that governors like Governor Hutchinson and our legislature have the flexibility need in the Medicaid program to uphold the values of the vast majority of Arkansans.
Okay. And wanted to ask you this, and I'm not posing it as a flippant question. There have been some pro-life Christian agencies out there that have said, well, if we're going to take this stands with Planned Parenthood, that federal dollars might inadvertently go to fund an organization that provides abortions. What about Israel? We provide billions of dollars in aid to them, and their government pays for abortions for women. They believe we should not be funding that aid to Israel in that light?
Well, Israel is a government that does the whole span of things that governments do. Most of our aid towards Israel goes to support their security forces, which is an important alliance of ours in the region. Israel is our closest ally. Much of that aid actually is developed in weapons programs that will then benefit our soldiers. Things like the Iron Dome missile defense system, which is helping advance missile defense technology that our soldiers need when they're overseas, and increasingly Americans will need as ballistic missiles begin to threaten the continental United States. Or it's used for weapons programs that are built right here in the United States, in some cases right here in South Arkansas. So I would draw a distinction between those two.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Presidential candidates are parading out there in a big field in 2016. Has anyone won you over in the Republican field and you're like, yeah, I want to vote for that person?
Right now, the only decision I've made is that I strongly support Bernie Sanders in the Democratic primary.
Okay.
Well, I mean, obviously, Republicans have a very big and diverse field. I serve with many of those Republicans. I'm on friendly relations with many others. We should be proud as a Republican Party that we have so many talented, capable, accomplished candidates. And as a voter myself, I'll wait and make that decision with the rest of Arkansans next spring whenever our primary comes around.
What about the Donald Trump phenomenon? Just real briefly, come on.
Well, I think Donald Trump, whatever you think of all of his positions, whatever you think of some of his rhetoric, has really tapped into among the American people that they don't want any more business as usual in Washington, D.C. And in fact, if you were to say aggregate some of the non-politicians in the race like Donald Trump and Carly Fiorina and Ben Carson, you'd see a pretty sizable chunk of the Republican primary voter doesn't want to have just business as usual in Washington, D.C. I campaigned against business as usual last year, and I also want to overturn business as usual. Lots of other candidates, though, in our party can tap into that same vein, whatever their views on this or that policy are.
Now, you provided a perfect segue to my next question, because you have been floated as a possible VP running mate possibility. Is there anyone that you would consider that offer from, and is there anybody that you would say yes to?
No. Right now, I'm just focused on doing the work that people of Arkansas elected me to do in the United States Senate. On the political front, I'm more focused here on Arkansas. Senator Bozeman is going to be running for re-election, and I want to do everything I can to make sure that he wins that race, as well as our Republican congressman get re-elected too.
So if you were made the offer, are you saying you wouldn't take it, or are you saying let's just wait and see what happens?
I think with 16 or 17 candidates running for president, we've got a lot of bridges before we cross that one.
Okay. Thank you so much.